Legend of Korra series finale review, Day of the Colossus and the Last Stand. I'm gonna be totally blunt. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning right now. I didn't know that the episode came out at midnight until like 3. My other laptop sucked, so I couldn't watch it. Then I had to wait, literally format my new laptop that I just got, just so I could go on Nick and watch the last 2 episodes. But it was an amazing series finale. I really loved it. I think we got a ton of action that a lot of people may have wanted from this season, and I think it was really well done. I mean, God, not just the action itself, but of course the animation in these last 2 episodes was sheer movie quality. Like, there's no argument to that. Like, they looked unbelievable. Like, there are moments that are just like the simplest things, and it's like a red light. I think it was when they just got inside of the giant mech. There was like a red like alarm light flashing on the characters, and Korra was talking, and it was just like a red light flashing on her, and it looked amazing because you could see like the smallest little details like in her hair and stuff, and they did that a lot where you could see like animation in the hair, and that's like one of the big things because of course for any human being who isn't like me where it's like that, when you have like a bunch of hair, and it's animated, and like you see like all these crazy little details in hair, that's how you know like the animation is really top notch, and it was amazing in this one. We saw all sorts of crap, and it was I actually did a live video. Like, I watched it and I recorded myself, so that'll be up. I'll put a link to that up as soon as I finish editing that, because I'm going to put the actual clips in, so I won't just be randomly talking like, oh, I like this, that looks cool, stuff like that. So I'm going to add annotation as well as a link to that once it's finished. But I'd mentioned a couple of times like how well things looked. We saw buildings falling apart, which we saw a lot of that in this episode, which I actually enjoyed, and that also made me mention the fact that this was like the like post-apocalyptic Legend of Korra episode, because it's like buildings falling down, and Kuvira is like moving an arm or shooting a cannon and just destroying everything. And there was like 2 scenes where they actually bring buildings down on her, which were amazing scenes. Like, that looked really cool. Just the way they showed them earth bending with the buildings, like when they first showed it with Bolin, and he was kind of trying to break it off the support basically, and then when they showed the twins, they were basically just running alongside it, and they were kind of just like basically just tearing it apart, and it looked really cool the way they did that. The fight scene with Korra and Kuvira was definitely amazing. I loved like the goo, and I mentioned this in like the video I did. As soon as she like used the little stuff and turned it into goo and started shooting it at Korra, I was like, it's the space comet from like the Last Airbender. Like, that's the first thing I thought of, was like Sokka and his space sword, and like the little band that Toph used to have in the original show, and it was really cool. It was like an amazing little fight scene, and when she had like the 3 orbs behind her and she was shooting, and they had it sounded like kind of ink sound effects and stuff to it. It looked really cool. The fight was definitely amazing. I love the way that they just were in this, tight little space, but they did like every form of bending. Like, we got to see Korra really do everything, and that was what I was hoping for. I was hoping we get to see a lot of just different forms of bending. The big thing I was really looking forward to was actually a lot of fire bending, because I feel like this season as well as last season, especially when you combine them, it was a ton of earth bending. Like, everything was just earth bending stuff. We didn't really get to see Mako do too much fire bending in this one, because his role in this season pretty much was he's stuck with like Prince Wu, so we didn't really get to see him do a lot of fire bending too much. We didn't see a ton of water bending. We saw, I think, mostly air bending, oddly enough, from Korra, coming from, the first season where that's the only thing she couldn't do. I think that's what we've actually seen the most this season, outside of, just earth bending, which is pretty much everyone else. That's what they've been doing, earth bending or metal bending. But I was excited to see, like, some other bending. We also got to see lightning bending in the series finale, which immediately is, like, my favorite thing, because I love lightning powers and stuff, and it was like really cool to see Mako use lightning bending, and it was like I was really hoping for that. And when I was watching that scene when he's actually like attacking the vines within the machine, it like for some reason this was the first time it ever clicked. But I was just like, I wish we had a character that only did like lightning bending, or at least used it most of the time, because we have Mako as a firebender, and then really he's like the only firebender that we really get a big focus on. And the only actual character who is like primarily lightning based was the guy from season one, Lightning Bolt Zolt, who was just a random criminal that really got his bending taken in like, I don't know, like episode 3 or 4 of the series. So it was kind of funny, like just it just clicked in my head. But I wish we had that. Like sadly, we won't get that animated, but we might get it in comic book form. But it was an amazing episode. I personally loved it. I know there are things that a lot of people are going to be really upset about, like particularly I think not seeing old Team Avatar, really in any fighting form this season, I think is going to upset a lot of people. We got like the little stuff with Toph where really it was kind of like, hey, I saved you guys, and then she was like, I'm out of here because I can't really fight like that anymore. And that really upset a lot of people. I won't say it upset me, but it was like, oh man, like everyone wanted the same thing. It was like, all right, we know Kuvir isn't gonna just be defeated and lose, but everyone kind of wanted Toph to just come in like, all right, crack some knuckles and then just do some insane earthbending and like destroy Kuvira to like the last second, and then somehow she'd get saved. But we didn't get to see that. We didn't get to see like Katara come in this season and really do any fighting, which I didn't expect either. But I really did want to see Zuko in because we saw him fight in the last season, and technically it has been 3 years, so they could easily write that into the story where it's like he was fighting in the last season, but it's 3 years later. That can make a difference when you're much older. So, it kind of sucked that we didn't even get to see him, especially because he has a dragon. I mean, it always sucks not getting a dragon, but I'm sure that's going to upset a lot of people, but I never expected it, honestly. It's like the last 2 episodes, it's not like I thought, like, oh, they're just going to, like, drop in a plane or something crazy like that, and it's like, hey, there's, Team Avatar, or the old Team Avatar, but I definitely loved it. I thought it was wrapped up very well. Asami losing her father in this episode was very surprising. I didn't think they were going to do that, and it kind of sucked that she had to do that, and it came, of course, right after the acceptance of between her and her father, but it just sucked to see that happen. But, she was able to kind of move past it, and in some way, looking at it with the, a silver lining, like, at least I was able to make things better with my father. So that was pretty cool. We also got to see, like, surprise wedding. I did not see, like, Varric and Zhu Li marrying each other in this. Is not what I expected. I thought, okay, Varric's gonna realize what's really going on. Julie's like saying some obvious things here, and he's gonna realize it by the end of this episode. And then he actually proposed. I was like, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I thought he was just gonna say like, hey, I know I've been kind of dumb, but hey, why don't we give this thing a shot? He's just like, marry me, and I was like, well, crap. But it was definitely really cool. I also love the slow motion turn they did with her when he was like, Julie, and she's like, yes, and like her hair is like flipping in like slow motion. I thought that was really funny. The vows at the wedding I thought were pretty silly with Bolin reading like, scrubbing his calluses like 2 times a week or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. God, the ending of the fight scene, like us getting a new spirit portal, I thought was really cool. I didn't expect that to happen. I thought the vines were going to come in. I think a lot of people expected the vines to actually help Korra fight against Kuvira, but that didn't end up happening. They kind of just came in at the end when the spirit portal sort of arose, and they actually remained fairly neutral, which was surprising to me. I really thought that Kuvira was going to do something, or they would sense the fact that she's using, the spirit vines as a weapon, and that would sort of, be like the driving force to get the spirits to come in, but that never happened. So I was actually really surprised by that one. It was strictly Team Avatar and Korra, Team Avatar and affiliates, I guess, I don't know. But it was definitely amazing. I loved it. Everyone was looking all fancy at the wedding and stuff. And one thing that was really weird to me at the wedding was everybody seemed like they were older again. Like, from last season to this season, we had 3 years. But I swear, when they were at the wedding, everyone looked taller. Like, Pema was chasing, like, the little boy around. He looked like he was, like, Milo's age or something. I was like, this looks like it's in the future again, but it wasn't. Like, Mako still had, like, the sling and stuff, and that wouldn't last for, like, a year or anything. But everyone just seemed older and stuff like that to me. I did enjoy it though. I did enjoy getting to see Pema because I was thinking like, I wish we had more of Pema, and it was still like a small snippet, but It was nice what we got, which led to Prince Wu and his insanely silly songs. And I loved that they brought in like the Badger Moles, and it made me think like if the guy from the Last Airbender was alive who sung the Secret Tunnel song, I think he'd really appreciate Wu's talents. And it just made me think of that because that was one of the big episodes where they, I think that was the first episode in The Last Airbender where they talked about Badger Moles and how Badger Moles taught people to Earthmen. I think that was that first episode where we got that as a part of the history and stuff. So I was like, that's pretty cool. They brought in the Badger Moles. And then it's like, oh, we just happen to have this episode where, the first episode from Legend of Korra where we actually see Badger Moles. And we just also happen to get a guy who's singing some really silly songs. And he had a lot of variations. So I really enjoyed that. And he's like spinning around and stuff. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty cool. And then, of course, we have like the official ending of this episode, which is going to be the biggest effing thing since like this show got announced, I think. Like, I don't know. Like, as soon as Korra was like, we should go on vacation, I didn't know what to think. I was like, she said that, and it's like, she could mean everybody. Why don't we all just, like, relax and be free? And even before that, when Asami was like, I couldn't take losing you and my father, it was like, okay, they're putting this stuff in here. They're dropping a couple of little, breadcrumbs here for people. And then, it's like, why don't we go on vacation, just the two of us? It's like, okay, they're putting stuff in here. They didn't make them kiss at the end. I was thinking, like, if they just make them kiss, everyone would be, like, much happier than them, like, teasing it. Because I would have been like, if they just do it, then it's official. And then they did it, like, they just held hands, and then they looked at each other. I'm going to count it as Korra Asami is totally official. Like, I think, based on that happening, we can all just say it's official. Like, they do end up together in the future at some point, which is way better than either of them even remotely considering ending up with Mako. So, thumbs up for that. I think everyone can agree on that one. I loved it. I thought, like, at first it was just like, oh, they're kind of messing with us now. Like, everyone kind of wants that, and it's just that big pairing is like that more than anything. That's what that's the pairing. And then it was just like losing you and my father, and she was upset about that, specifically saying those lines. All right, that's like a little thing. Why don't we go on vacation, just the two of us? It's a little bit bigger. And then they hold hands and they look at each other like that, and it's like you can't, like, unless they just kissed. That's the only possible way it could have been more than that. But I think we can all just count it as official. Personally, that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what you guys should do. That's what everyone should do, because it's just better that way. So it didn't maybe or maybe not happen. It happened. They end up together as Korra Asami. So I think a lot of people are just like going to lose their minds and be super happy about that. Some people, I don't know who would be upset about that. I mean, like, who else are they going to end up with? But I definitely loved that. It was like, it was just great. I do wish they did make it like 100% official instead of like that little tease. But also they probably couldn't do that because it's Nickelodeon. Like a actual like gay kiss on a Nickelodeon cartoon might be a little too much because of course it's Nickelodeon, so they still can't do some things. But if that is the only reason, I would love to read that in text. Like, that's the only reason we didn't do that. And then, that would also make people a little bit happier that it's more official. But I loved it. I loved the ending. I don't know if we're going to get comic books for Legend of Korra. I really hope we do. We have Last Airbender comics still coming out. So, it's just logical. And, of course, like, what are they going to explore in the spirit world? There's still going to be evil people that come up. Are we going to get, new avatars in the comic books where it skips, even more generations and it goes past, or it goes to the next avatar after Korra and stuff like that? We're going to have to wait and see, but I think it was a great series finale. Tons of great action. It still had those amazing story elements in there that are very serious. Varric and Julie, both serious, with them actually getting married. That's insanely serious, but also incredibly funny. Like when they first teased it, where Julie got excited, she was like, you have to tell me something. It's like, I used to work on a farm, and like as soon as he said that, I was like, he's gonna, like, even before he said that, I was like, he's about to mess this up, and he did that first time, but he turned it around the second time, so it was still Varric and Julie comedy in there, still really funny, and it was just a great, amazing episode, and I loved it. I, of course, wish we could have more Korra, but it's the end. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought. So comment below, let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what have you loved about this show? What have you hated? If there's something you actually hated, did you enjoy the series finale? Is there something that you wish was in there? Like, I'm sure, like, I think the most obvious thing that people will probably dislike as far as the series finale is the fact that we didn't get the old Team Avatar. I think that's going to be the big component where people are just like, man, everyone kind of wanted that because we want to see them again. I think that'll be the biggest thing. But other than that, and even I want that a little bit, but other than that, I think it was like absolutely perfect. We didn't have to see Korra, go insanely nuts and like just destroy Kuvira or anything. It was a spiritual awakening, a mental awakening for Kuvira. Like, I really screwed up, so I actually love that, and I think a lot of people kind of knew it was going to lead that way because of the way this season was kind of done. It was like the whole point of it was Korra kind of learning to become much more mature and not just go in fists blazing, I guess, I don't know, but not just go like crazy and just bend every issue out out of somebody else. So I loved it. Of course, like I said, though, I want to know what you guys think, so comment below, let me know, and of course, thanks for watching.